Next up for us as we preview the Longines Turf World Championships is the $25 million mile, but for a different perspective, make sure again you head to the website hkjc.com, multimedia showcase, and check out Hong Kong Direct Ed Sadler with Martin Kelly this week with a European angle on the 4 Group 1s. As we get back to the Marlow and headed by the world's highest rated turf horse, over 1,600 metres in Beauty Generations. Draw barrier 12, though, the defending champ Zach Purton will be in the saddle. Persian Knight, barrier 14 for Mirko De Muro. Coming through from Australia, wide gate for him as well for Chris Waller. Beauty only a previous winner, Hugh Bowman from 9. Beat the bank for Andrew Boulding, O'Sheen Murphy. Singapore Sling, Sylvester de Sosa takes over here from barrier 6. Inns of Court for Andre Fabre from barrier 3. What else but you's got the inside gate, Caris Teeton in the saddle. And One Master and Vivlos, the 4-year-old filly, and Vivlos, a previous winner in Dubai. Her last win, in actual fact, nearly a season and a half ago in the Dubai Turf. That's the lineup for the mile. But, of course, they're all chasing last year's winner in Beauty Generation. I was lucky enough to go along and meet the champ with John Moore.
Here he comes, John. Beauty Generation. He is a tremendous athlete as well. What an individual he is.
He sure is. He's the star of the Hong Kong turf at the moment, and he's now a household name overseas. They're all waiting to see what he's going to do on the 9th.
Absolutely. Can you give us a little bit of the backstory about him? How you bought him, why you bought him, what you saw in him?
Okay, as you know, George was scouting for horses like 2 years back, and came across him in the Australian Group 1 races. We negotiated on behalf of the Kwok family, and we were able to secure him for Hong Kong. Now, you know, he's got no pedigree to talk about, but there are some freaks, you know, are bred over in New Zealand. We've had 2 so far. One was Makapura Star, no pedigree whatsoever. I even bought some progeny out of the mare, and they were all class 5, very, very slow. And then, of course, he comes along. So it wasn't a pedigree thing, of course. It was, he was running from like 1,400 all the way through to 1.5 miles and was competitive. So from that point of view, we managed to acquire him.
Purton on Beauty Generation, this powerhouse miler here in Hong Kong, laying out under pressure. 3 in front from Beauty Only and Southern Legend, and Beauty Generation gets it done.
And you mentioned the Kwoks there. I remember seeing them at the Horse of the Year Awards last year. Patrick, who owns him, there with his mother and father, and the way they speak or spoke about this horse in particular, they're obviously tremendous enthusiasts and really enjoy the beauty,
oh, they do,
no pun intended, and the majesty of him really as well.
Yes, he's quite an imposing type, isn't he, when you see him. That's why when last season when I said to the owner, I'm going to make a miler out of him, and he looked at me, well, we bought him for the Derby, but the Derby's passed. Now, why don't we just move on? I'm looking at the physique of this horse. He does not look like a horse that will go over ground. Now, champions like this fellow can do it at both ends, right? Yeah. From 1,400, like Abel Friend, all the way to 2,000. He's gone even further. But when I looked at him physically, I said, God, this has got to be a sprinter miler, but just so talented. So I changed his workloads and everything, and married him up with his best mate here, the groom, and they get on tremendously well because he is a bit quirky. If the polos aren't out,
well, I just
or
saw
the carrots
that.
aren't out,
then.
The
ears went back.
He'll have a nip. But as you said earlier, he's got the best breath in town for any equine hero, I'm sure. I can tell you that.
Beauty Generation kept going. Helene Paragon, Western Express trying hard. Beauty Generation, Western Express, Helene Paragon. Beauty Generation takes the mile.
What do you think has changed as much in people's minds, I suppose, as much as anything else? Because he was winning races last year. He's the defending champion from International Day. But all of a sudden, you know, his rating has just gone through the roof, and he's getting worldwide recognition as well. He's the highest rated turf miler in the world, and by the end of the year, he could be the best horse in the world on ratings.
Yes. The way I look at it is that, okay, on the Hong Kong racing scene, he's beating everything that he's come up against. But to really progress to where Winx, Enabled, Roaring Lion, Cracksman, you really have to go overseas. That's from my trainer's point of view. I'm not saying that to Simon, you know, we must go, but the fact is, if you really want to prove him, he's got to go offshore, prove that he can travel and he can still beat, you know, the best of what's either in Dubai or whatever country. But it looks like it would be Dubai, even though I got a note from Goodwood the other day, would he please come to Goodwood? And I said, look, there's a lot of water to go under the bridge before consideration would be given to participating at Royal Ascot or even Goodwood.
They're all chasing, but going boldly as Beauty Generation, Horse of the Year for a reason. 3 lengths in front from Born in China, then Seasons Bloom, Beauty Only and Ping Eye Star, but Beauty Generation, what a fantastic return.
Well, thank you for letting us take a peek behind the curtain today with him as well, because he is, I mean, he's been
giving one, and you can say you fed a
Beauty
one of the
Generation.
world champs.
He's been perfect with us this morning, hasn't he? So
yeah.
it is a real privilege to get up close to a horse, because you can feel the power and the presence of him as well. He's
Can't you? Yeah.
He's a real star.
When you look at him, you look at the size of him. That's when I looked at him. He doesn't look like a horse to go over ground. You look at a horse Eagle Way, you know, that'll go 3,200. But this fellow, I just think he was doing it in Australia just out of his ability. But now we've found the secret to him, the secret being he's a top-class miler and does have a turn of foot.
Well, I'm pleased to say Kate Hunter joins us as well. Kate's back after last year as well. 3 Japanese runners in the field. Live chances, do you think?
I think so. I think I wasn't as sure when I got here, but after watching them train, they're all training quite well, especially Vivlos and Persian Knight. Persian Knight especially today had a wonderful workout. He was just flying down the turf.
All right, we'll come back to them in a second, but just going back to Beauty Generation there, Stevie, he's a wonderful character. He is if you've got polos and carrots anyway.
Yes.
Did start to get a little bit bored of us there, but what he's done so far this season, he's gone to another level.
Absolutely. It's very rare to hear so many rival trainers enthusing so highly over him as they've done of late. I love the fact that he's drawn barrier 12 because I'm going to get a slightly better price, I suspect. I think he is nigh on unbeatable. I think only bad luck will beat him.
All right. Zach Purton went back last time, Grant, and then did that move, sweep around the field, and then kicked away. It was a stunning performance to beat Goodbarb's track record in the process.
Yeah, I'm in a miserable dilemma over this horse. I know he has the best form. I think it would be a fantastic flagship for Hong Kong racing if he were to smash this field up. But I worry that he's trying to peak for a 4th time in 10 weeks, having been to a hard place last time, to break the track record after being roughed up early, making a big move, and then hanging left after shoeing his shoe. John Moore is his usual ebullient self. Zach Purton, I think, is more cautious. Look up his quotes, look up his body language. It's a much more guarded Zach Purton. He knows that this horse is good enough, but he also knows that he went to a hard place last time, and can he come back just as good against an international field of Group 1 horses this Sunday? I have my reservations.
Wow, okay. The Japanese know what it takes to win a race like this, with Morris, of course, most recently. Have we got a Morris this year?
I don't think there's ever going to be quite another Morris, but Vivlos has shown that she's a very gritty horse in Dubai. With her performances there, she won it, and then she was second this year. She drew the position that her entire camp wanted. They were just smiling ear to ear when they got number 7, because they wanted the middle and they got dead center. So I'd say they'd be locked and loaded and really hoping that she'll go out a champion because she retires after this race.
Her best 2 performances really have been on the road, so maybe she just...
Yeah, she really flourishes when she goes abroad for whatever reason. Dubai, she just seemed to absolutely love it. And the trainer was saying that she's in this very similar form to the way she would behave in Dubai. So that's a very glowing remarks from Tomomichi Sensei. And
what about Mozo Ascot? Looks at an incredible stamp. He's a Frankel colt. I mean, Persian Knight is as well, but he looks a really solid individual.
Yeah, Mozo Ascot, he had a really poor start last time. The trainer was surprised when he went out and he foamed up so much, sweated up so much before the Mile Championship. It was the first time he's ever finished out of the top 4. So hopefully it was an aberration and not going to happen again today, but I definitely wait to place your bets until the horse gets out on the field to see where he is mentally. I don't know if he's going to be at his best this time, but the trainer would not have brought him over if he didn't think he had a shot. All
right, let's talk about a couple of the other ones then, Steve. Coming through for Australia. It's great to have some Australian representation.
Yeah, terrific. Obviously there's difficulties at the moment, but Chris Waller and his owner Sir Owen Glenn, who also had Criterion, the brother to this horse, keen to travel. Coming through is a little quirky. When he produces his best, I would say that he almost measures up to this level. One thing about him, he tends to produce his best runs fresh, and he is fresh coming into this race. He's awkwardly drawn. I don't think he could win the race, but if he was on song and in the mood, he could run well.
William Haggis was here a few weeks ago, Graham. It coincided with Beauty Generation winning last time. He comes back with one master, a Group 1 winning filly who did run quite well in the Breeders' Cup as well.
Yeah, some people thought she was on a dead rail on the inside, slightly slower ground. I think she's a pretty good filly, but if you have a look at her international rating, it's not as high as you would expect for a Group 1 winner, and I think that sort of sums her up. She seemed to be training pretty well. I'd be surprised if she was good enough. Great story from the owners, Roy and Gretchen Jackson, octogenarians, owners of Barbaro, big-time horse in America, and a 17-hour flight for the first visit to Hong Kong, I believe.
I think Graham's giving far more kudos to the international handicappers than they deserve. This has got a terrific chance, One Master. Yeah. This is a mare on the up, unlike most horses who've come from the Breeders' Cup to contest this race. Her run there was absolutely fantastic. The inside of that track was 6 lengths slow. It was her first run at a mile. She screamed through the line. She looked to me like a 2,000 metre horse. I think she's right in the race.
Right, Moore's got some strong chances one way or another.
Yeah, he certainly has. We haven't got time to do this complete justice, but Beat the Bank again would be a great story for Andrew Balding, owned by Viche Seawat and Apropa, of course the Leicester City boss.
Yeah, the late Leicester City owner. So it's an amazing story, potentially, and he's a really good horse, solid Group 2 horse, but he needs to find a little bit. I think between Beauty Generation and Persian Night, we have the answer one way or another.
All right, is Graham right? Is Persian Night the pick of the Japanese, you think, Kate?
Picking from the yard from the past week, I would definitely say Persian Night has been training the best, and Vivlos would be a close second.
I'll just give one angle on Persian Night. It's not really been broadcast. Able Friend, the benchmark horse by which all Hong Kong horses are judged. He was very impressive in the mile a few years ago. Tried to go back-to-back, and he was beaten by a Japanese raider who'd won a mile championship. Step forward, Persian Night.
All right. Beauty Generation for you, though, Steve?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, the intriguing part about this race is that there's a lot of local milers here that we've skirted over. The Beauty Onlys and the Singapore Slings and the Southern Legends. And history tells us that 1 or 2 of them will be in the frame. They just always are. But can they win? I don't think so. So I think Beauty Generation is nearly a good thing. I think John Moore's body language is enough for me. If you spend your whole life worrying about whether horses are going to bounce off a fantastic performance, you'll just do your head in. I'm going to take it at face value. So I think if he were to be upset, it's going to come from a raider. And they're the horses we've really just touched on. One Master, Vivlos, Persian Night. So one on top from 13, 14, 2.
Sounds like you're going to have a crack at the favourite, though, Graham.
I am. I'm interested in Persian Night. Tactics are going to be important. He's drawn 14. Some people think that's a big negative. But Mirko de Moreau seems to ride him like he's a cross between Winks and Winkle, perhaps. So I hope he's not given quite so much to do from 14, but he has a powerful finish, that horse.
All right, Persian Night then to beat Beauty Generation. We've still got one more race to go. That's the Cup. Kate will stay with us. Can Time Warp defend his crown?